Also worth mentioning that in this test, the OPPO and RedMagic have the largest batteries at 7,500 and the iPhone is the smallest. All the new Androids also use silicon carbon anodes, which is why they're all still pretty thin. Samsung have been using the exact same 5000 mAh cell in their Ultra phones since the S20 Ultra. That's 6 years without an upgrade. Hopefully the soon to be announced S26 Ultra changes that. The Samsung is also the only phone here running a previous generation chipset, which sits on TSMC's N3E node. The rest of the phones here all run on TSMC's N3P node, which offers greater performance. This is seen in the iPhone's A19 Pro chip, the OPPO and Vivo's Dimensity 9500, and the ONEPLUS iQOO and RedMagic's Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chipsets. Now, just so that you guys know, if you are new to the channel, you can compare all of these screen on time results to any other battery drain test you've ever seen on my channel, because I stick to the exact same method of running them. So we run the exact same apps with the same runtimes, stick to the same brightness, but you can't really compare them to other channels because they use different apps, different runtimes, different brightness, so on and so forth. And even though they can record selfie and back video at higher than 1080p 30 and 4K 30 respectively, I've left them at that so that you can compare all my previous tests, because I've done, I think, like almost 40 battery drain tests in the past 3-4 years now. So I hope that you guys enjoy it, and if you have yet to do so, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Now, another thing that I also do is I run 1 hour of benchmarks, only an hour though, and I never repeat it. I never come back to it later on. It's just to simulate high performance gaming. I'm not trying to kill the phones. It's also a good way to see how they hold up in terms of heat dissipation. And as you can see, after the 5.5 hour interval after running 30 minutes of benchmarks, none of them overheated, but the RedMagic reached the hottest at 66.2 degrees Celsius. Now the OnePlus and the iQOO weren't that far off, also above 60 degrees Celsius, because they're using the same chipset. The Dimensity chips seen inside the OPPO and the Vivo seem to be a lot better in terms of thermal management, which is good to know. And while the Samsung is quite a bit low, you got to remember that Samsung purposefully hold back on performance to prevent overheating. And of course, nothing comes close to the iPhone when it comes to heat management. It does such a good job. Now, all of them do have vapor chambers, including the iPhone, but the RedMagic is the only one here with a physical cooling fan, as well as a physical liquid cooling pump system, which is ridiculous. You can actually see it at the back of the phone. Make sure that you check out my full review of the phone after this and all the other Androids that you see on here, because I deep dive into everything that these phones have to offer. And we've actually seen a pretty big jump in terms of phone tech in 2025. And I'm happy to be ending off with this video and starting the new year with a benchmark test. So make sure that you subscribe and stay tuned for that one as well. One thing to note though is that I have left the RedMagic's physical cooling fan on balanced mode and its liquid cooling on slow and not fast, because obviously that will impact, well, it impacts its performance, but it'll also negatively impact its battery. And I'm trying to keep things fair. I didn't disable them, so it will be using some power. But if you're going to get this phone, you're going to want to have its cooling systems running. We're just running them at their lowest speeds here. I've also disabled the RGB lights on the RedMagic and the iQOO, because obviously the other phones don't have these kinds of lights, and that will also negatively affect the battery. Now, in 7 hours and 30 minutes, we have the Vivo on 7%, which is obviously the last phone here. Next up is the Samsung with 16, then we have the iPhone with 27, we have 36 on the iQOO, 1% ahead of it is the RedMagic with 37, then the OnePlus with 44, and 1% ahead of that is the OPPO, leading the pack here, 45% after almost 8 hours, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, refresh rates, of course, also plays a big role in battery efficiency, and unfortunately the RedMagic doesn't have an LTPO display. The rest of them do, and while the OnePlus can reach 165 Hz, it only runs between 1 and 120 with its LTPO tech. 165 only kicks in when you're playing a specific supported game. So check out my review, because I do show, and there's only a handful of games that actually support 165 Hz on the OnePlus. Now, the OnePlus and OPPO have the exact same screen, the same size, that is, actually the same screen completely. The Vivo has the same size. The iQOO and RedMagic also have the same size as each other at 6.85 inches, and the Samsung and the iPhone are the largest at 6.9 inches. Now, we just reached 8.5 hours over here, and the Vivo is still going with 1%. It's been going with 1% since about 8 hours and 10 minutes. So will it be able to reach that 9-hour mark interval? And nearing that 9-hour mark interval, the last interval, the OPPO was the hottest and the iQOO was the coolest. The iQOO's actually been pretty cool and efficient for a while now. The Vivo is still on 1% at 9 hours, so yes, it did reach that 9-hour mark interval, but the one leading the pack here is the OPPO with 37% left still. And after 9 hours and 2 minutes, the Vivo calls it quits. It lasted for almost an hour on just 1%.